still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Brian Giles from Brian Giles MTG. And we're into, this will be actually in total video number 5 of my Brothers War spoilers. So yesterday, which would have been Friday the 28th, today is Saturday the 29th. Yesterday I released 2 videos because there's lots of spoilers dropping. Today we're seeing a lot more of the regular set spoilers along with, some mixed in of the artifact archives. And yesterday we had some doozies, especially some of the commands. The 3 commands, Kayla's command, Mishra's command, and Gix's command. Those were just insanity. But let's jump right into these. First off, a really powerful reprint in Mesmeric Orb. For 2 colorless mana, you get an artifact. Whenever a permanent becomes tapped, that permanent's controller mills a card. So mill decks are on the way back in. Next up, we have Urza's command. 2 blue mana and 2 colorless for an instant. You choose 2 creatures you don't control get -2, -0 till end of turn, or create a Power Stone token, or create a 0/0 tapped colorless construct artifact creature token. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control, or scry 1, then draw a card. So those are all just useful blue type of things that you would find in this kind of set. And it's very interesting to note that this is an instant, unlike the other 3 commands we saw that were sorceries. So this is at instant speed. So you can create an instant blocker, and if you create a tapped Power Stone token, that blocker is actually a 2/2 then. So you could, there's a lot of effects that you can do really interestingly at instant speed there. Next up, we have another reprint from the Artifact Archive in Quicksilver Amulet. 4 colorless mana for an artifact that reads, pay 4, tap it, you may put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield. Super, super powerful. People will want to try to get rid of this thing immediately, because you can put your beefiest creatures straight onto the battlefield. Next up, we have a new card in Soul Partition. 1 white and 1 colorless for an instant that reads, exile target non-land permanent for as long as that card remains exiled. Its owners may play it. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 colorless more to cast. So it's basically, I can't remember the name of the card now. It's a 3/1 that they used to target creatures and make your spells more expensive, make your creatures more expensive, your spells more expensive from your hand. But this is already from the battlefield. but it'll take things off the battlefield, powerful enchantments or artifacts or even planeswalkers, and it's done at instant speed. So that is very, very powerful. Next up is another weird card in the Stone Brain. 2 colorless mana for a legendary artifact that says pay 2, tap it, exile Stone Brain, choose a card name, search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with that name, and exile them. That player shuffles and draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. Activate only as a sorcery. It's just very weird. Sounds like a very political card that you can. It's like exile. It's like the one blue cards that you could exile all the cards from. Kind of like that, but you get they actually get some card draw out of the ones that are exiled from their hand. But if you suspect that they're playing that card, or know that they know that they're playing with that card, you can get rid of 4 of them, and especially if it's an important piece of their deck. So that's an interesting card. Next up is Transmogran's Crown. 2 colorless mana for an artifact equipment that reads: equipped creature gets +2/+0. Whenever equipped creature dies, draw a card. Equipped for 2 or for a single black. Now I think this is the first time, at least that I've seen, and I think it's the first time in total, that we've seen a card that has an alternate equip cost that is not, equipped to a specific type of creature, like knight or planeswalker or soldier or whatnot. So definitely different there. Next up, we have Hurkyl's Final Meditation, a beefy 3 blue and 4 colors for an instant that reads: as long as it's not your turn, this costs 3 colors more to cast. Ouch! Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. End the turn. Now, this is one of the cards that we were talking about in the Brothers War spoilers about ending the turn. Now, ending the turn means you exile all spells on the stack. Player whose turn it is discards down to their maximum hand size. All damage wears off. It's just like you just say stop right here, and nothing else happens. Turn is over. Goodbye. That's a super powerful card, and that's why it costs so much. Next up is Draftna, founder of Latnam. 1 blue and 1 for a 2/1 legendary human artificer advisor. For 1 blue and 1, return target artifact you control to its owner's hand. That's interesting. And for 3 colorless, tap him, copy target artifact spell you control. The copy becomes a token. If you're copying artifacts, that is powerful, powerful, powerful. This is something not to be underestimated. If you're playing like an artifact deck, this guy might be an automatic include. Okay. Next up, we have Honos the Toy Maker. And this is interesting. He's a green and a blue and 3 colorless for a 3/5 legendary human artificer. Whenever you cast a beast or bird creature spell, you may copy it. The copy is an artifact in addition to its other types. Usually you don't see this, green in terms of artifacts. I mean, we saw that in the last set in Dominator United with Maria. Because usually green is a nature thing and it's against artifacts. But this takes nature things and makes them into artifacts. So beast and bird creature spells become artifacts. You make a copy. So I'm sorry. Are you playing a Bearscape deck? Look, I have a whole bunch of artifact bears now. That's insanity. And he's a 3/5, so the value for his casting cost is there. So this is not something to be overlooked. And this, of course, is Honos of Tanos' Wand. Next up is another mythic reprint from the Artifact Archive in Aetherflux Reservoir. For 4 colorless mana, the artifact, whenever you cast a spell, you gain a life for each spell you cast this turn. So if you're casting a lot of quick spells, you're gaining a lot of life. But it also has pay 50 life. Aetherflux Reservoir deals 50 damage to any target. So if you're playing in a life deck, this thing, back in the day, this thing, nobody thought to play it, but in life decks these days, it's not hard to get to 50 life real quickly, especially if you're playing, because it's 50 life, if you're playing a life deck based commander type thing, Aetherflux Reservoir in that, this is automatic kill. I mean, that's only 10 more than your starting life. And in a life deck commander thing, if you're playing commander with a life deck thing, this thing is a beast. You'll take out one of your opponents one shot. Next up is another mythic reprint that hasn't been seen in a long time in Altar of Dementia. Sacrifice a creature, target player mills cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power. Like I said, mill is back on the table, baby. Dash for certain. Next up, we have a new card in Skitter Beam Battalion. A beefy 9 colorless mana for a 4/4 artifact creature construct with trample and haste. When Skitter Beam Battalion enters the battlefield, if you cast it, create 2 tokens that are copies of it. So that's 3/4/4 trample haste creatures for 9 mana. Which isn't bad if you think about it. But this has a prototype mechanic on it. For 2 red and 3, you get a 2/2 version of it. So for 5 mana, you get a total of 3, 2/2 trample haste. And if you're playing with something like middle-aged Urza, who gives the artifacts +2/+2, those are all automatically 4/4s with trample and haste. So that's disgusting. But that's not generally Urza's colors, though. This is more of a Mishra thing. Because Mishra's colors are black and red. So it's a very, very different thing. And that's more Mishra style, is the trample and haste, firing off things fast and furious. Next up, we have another reprint in Go for the Throat. Destroy 1 black and 1 for an instant that reads destroy target non-artifact creature. Next up, we have Gaia's Courser. 1 blue and 4 for a 4/5 Centaur Soldier. Whenever Gaia's Courser attacks, if there are 3 or more creature cards in your graveyard, draw a card. Graveyards matter. Interesting. Next up, we have Yoshin Dissident. 1 white and 1 green for a 1/1 human artificer. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Interesting. So, put artifacts in, get +1/+1 counters. Next up, we have Clay Revenant. 1 colorless mana for a 1/2 artifact creature golem. Clay Revenant enters the battlefield tapped. But for 1 black and 2, you can return Clay Revenant from your graveyard to your hand. So that'll come back from the graveyard. That is interesting. So I'm gonna stop here because I'm over 19 minutes now, and there's a lot more to go. I waited until later in the day to make sure we got the most out of our videos, and I have been talking a lot about stuff. So I will see you on the next video.